Thank you very much. I hope you guys are all excited, so let's give it a warm applause for the first team, which is going to be Entocube.
Yay! Hi guys, we're Entocube and we do insect farming technologies. There's going to be close to 10 billion people on this earth by the year 2050, and additionally these people are going to be wealthier than today. And we know from history that when people get more wealthy, they want to eat more meat. The meat demand is expected to double by the year 2050. Now, this is a problem because already today, meat production is the leading cause of climate change. According to FAO, among various experts, insects are one of the most promising solutions to create this protein, create this meat for an expanding population in developing and developed countries. And this is because insects are drastically more efficient to produce than other production animals. They require only a fraction of the inputs, and doing this process emits significantly less CO2 emissions. And insects also taste really good, and if you don't believe me, I have something for you right here. The insect industry is currently estimated to be around $360 million, but what's really interesting and promising for the insect industry is the potential to capture a significant piece of the global protein ingredient market. Now, insects are superior in biology compared to other production animals because they're cold-blooded, they can produce more mass with the same feed inputs. But the problem in this industry is that there's a technology gap that we have to close to unlock this potential that insects have. And this is the problem we're solving at Entocube. This is the Entocube container farm. It's a standalone unit that can mass produce insects anywhere in the world. We have 3 of these. We sold a couple and we run the third and sell its supply to consumers and people who want to do cool stuff with this. And in Entocube, we have 2 revenue models. One, we have the container sales. These are for insect farmers who want to start farming insects. And secondly, we sell crickets or insects and insect ingredients to companies who make stuff out of them. And the processing of insects is super easy because you can eat the whole thing. So this is a very, very lean and nice thing to do. We have a strong team, really strong in biology and engineering, and then business are kind of core areas. We have more than 30 years of experience in insects and biology, microbiology, and a really kick-ass engineering team. We're currently automating the insect farming process, and this will drastically cut down the costs, which are currently very high in producing these insects. And we are here looking for an investment of 200,000 to complete our pre-seed round of 450. Out of 350 of this is private investment. And this money we will use to build a bigger scale facility and scale up our production. We have 150,000 euros of sales, of cricket sales in the pipeline for the next year, and we need to establish a bigger facility to match this demand. I'm Perttu from Entocube. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Woo. Now, I hope we get some very tough and difficult questions. We have 5 minutes, so let's shoot some very difficult questions.
So your technology is the way you process the insects, the way you generate insects, and then and it's just more efficient and it holds them together. Is that right?
Yes. So insects require very little feed inputs, and they're very good in high-density farming. So the costs of production are going to be smaller compared to other production animals. But then you have a lot of labor currently. So with an automated process, we can take the labor out, which brings the variable cost down by about 70 to 80%. And this is going to be a very competitive protein source.
And by lowering the cost of production, does that also mean that the market will expand? Are people going to eat a lot more insects now, or is it still going to be about $300 million?
Yes, so it's the obstacle for this industry to really scale up into more refined products is the cost. I have with me some dried crickets. These are from our farm, but this stuff, currently the cheapest you can get in Europe is 100 to 120 euros a kilo. And this is an obstacle for this industry to really scale. And we are seeing like really awesome products from the Netherlands, for example, like frozen foods or cricket powder, these kind of protein bars and these kinds of products. But for this to get out of that niche box, to be a very luxury product for those who are like extremely environmentally conscious or kind of adventurous, and get beyond that into a wider market, this has to be more affordable. And for that, we need the technology.
And why are you doing this?
We are motivated by having
you.
Me. I want to save the world. And I want to, of course, like I think business is the way that the world will be solved. It has to make economic sense. And I think this is one of the best ways to do this, because food is one of the biggest problems we face.
Well, there is a lot of vegetarians and vegans, so this is obviously an animal. So there is a consciousness of saving the earth. There is a food barrier. There is a use of it to be, that it needs to be a common, like it's supposed to be a soy product or something like that. What are your goals to actually make this as a everyday consumer product? Because it still has a lot of bad stamina with insects. I mean, even though, you said it yourself, you need to be a really cool person to actually eat an insect, and I believe that as well, even though you snack on them now. You know,
Yeah.
It's kind of intimidating.
A little bit. Yeah, so what we're seeing now break through in the Western world is more refined products that use cricket powder as an ingredient. Like ready-made meals, or you can, like, it's a very versatile ingredient. You can mix 20% of cricket powder into your bread, and it will taste like whole grain bread, but just have a lot of protein. You can do the same with burgers. You can just replace some of that minced meat with crickets, for example. To have it in the form that you know it's there, but you don't see it, and this is usually not a problem for people. But of course, there's also value in the novelty. And
But how are we going to, on our investment, how are we going to make money on it? Are you going to be the ones that are driving it through the food tech kind of industry, that you're going to give us the return on the branding? Because it's still crickets. Even though I put it in my bread, or even if I put it in my burger, it's still going to be crickets.
Yes, and we strongly believe, and there's strong indications in the market that people do actually want to eat crickets, and it's actually even kind of cool. It's still like, okay, we're talking about early adapters, but this has happened very fast in the Western world, and a lot of people really want to do this. And the way you get your money back is by so currently the price point in the EU is about 100, 120 euros a kilo. We're going to kick their asses with our tech when we scale it up. And that's where we can capture a significant slice of this market in the Western countries and really help push insects into a mainstream product.
But are you doing that right now? Are you going to be the forerunners for cricket tech?
Yes, that's exactly who we are.
Is there any legal issues in selling these crickets as food or food ingredient, and how do you tackle those?
Yes, so the problem in this industry in the European Union is that there is no regulation. So for any food production, we need to have a regulation on how you can grow, how you can slaughter, and this is missing. So insects are currently a novel food. On the positive side, the novel food legislation was recently changed and will be in effect 2018. So we have now a timeline. But there's also a number of EU countries, the UK, Belgium, and Belgium and Holland, that have legalized the sales of insect products. And these are also markets that we are looking to move to next year, because that's closer to, like, that's where the buzz is happening in the EU, more so than Finland right now.
The last quick question, is this a emerging markets play, or is it a Western world thing?
It has been around for a long time in many developing countries. In the developed countries, it's a relatively new thing, but it has been growing really fast. And about 2,000 different species are eaten about 2 billion people around the world. And most of these are gathered from the wild, so of course, there's also a lot of interest for our container technology, specifically in developing countries, to domesticate some of these species that are local treats. And for example, in southern Africa, these green grasshoppers are more expensive than any kind of beef, and people really love that. So if you can start farming that, you get a good source of nutrition, but also good business that can help lift people out of poverty and hunger.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah.
One more.
If you want, very quick one.
Are you going to be a brand for like safe, secure insect food, or are you just going to be the manufacturer that does it cheaply?
Yeah, so
Am I going to be wanting to buy Entocube insects or just like these are insects that have to be made?
Very quick answer, please.
Yeah, so you're going to want to buy Entocube insects because that's the stuff. And as I mentioned, the processing chain is really short. We kill the crickets by cold temperatures, by freezing, and that's a ready product you can start cooking with. So there's very few middlemen in the value chain.
All right. Thank you so much. Let's give it a
Thank you,
one round
guys.
of applause for Entocube. Thank you. Can I have one more?
Of course.
Thanks.